Good morning, students. Today's topic is role of UNO and its agencies in international relationship. This topic are objectives to keep peace throughout the world, to develop friendly relations among nations, to help nations work together to improve the lives of poor people, to conquer hunger, disease, and illiteracy, and to encourage respect for each other's rights and freedoms, to be a center for harmonizing the actions of nations to achieve these goals. These are the objectives of this topic. And the next, the picture, the United Nation Secretariat, Touristship Councils, General Assembly, World Court, Security Council, Economic Social Council. The United Nations is the history of the United Nations is that the United Nation is a inter, inter intergovernmental organization that was formed shortly after World War II. It was it was to become the successor to the League of Nations, which was established by the Treaty of Versailles in 1919 to promote international cooperation, peace, and security. The League of Nations ceased its operations after it was unable to stop World War II. And this United Nations is an international organization founded in 1945 after the Second World War by 51 countries committed to maintaining international peace and security, developing friendly relations among nations, and promoting social progress, better living standards, and human rights. And the next is the United Nations, the res- representative from 50 countries met in San Francisco in 1945, where they drafted the proposed United Nations Charter. The representative signed the charter on June 26, 1945, which was then ratified on October 24, 1945 by the United Kingdom, the United States, France, China, and the Soviet Union, and by a majority of the other member states. While the UN initially had a respectable 51 member states, the 51st state was Poland, who was not represented at the UN conference. Its membership has grown to 193 member states as of 2000, 2014, and due to its unique international character and the power vested in its founding character, the organization can take action on a wide range of issues and provide a forum for its 193 members state of express their views through the General Assembly, the Security Council, the Economic and the Social Council, and other bodies and committees. And next, the role of the United Nations. The role of United Nations has four basic purposes: peacekeeping, cultivating of friendly relationship among states, assisting in olive inventing property, poverty, hunger, disease, and illiteracy, and encouraging respect for human rights, providing a forum where nations work together for these goals. We can see how the UN seeks to accomplish these goals through examining its organizational structure and the work of the United Nations reach every corner of the globe, although best known for peacekeeping, peace building, conflict preservation, and humanitarian assistance. There are many other ways the United Nations and its system specified spec- specialized agencies, fund and programs and affect our lives and make the world a better place. The organization works on a broad range of fundamental issues from sustainable development, environment, and refuses protection, disaster relief, counter terrorism, dis- disarmament, and non proliferation to promoting democracy, human rights, gender equality, and the advancement of women, governance, economic and social development, and international health, clearing landmines, expanding food production, and more. In order to achieve its goals and coordinate efforts for a safer world for this and future generation. This is all the role of United Nation, and the next is this picture take the UN General Assembly, and this is the picture of General Assembly. The Article 1 of an UN character states the following purpose: to maintain international peace and security, and to end that end, to take active collective and collective measures for the prevention and removal of threats to the peace, and for the serpent suppression of acts of aggression or other breaches of the peace, and to bring about by peaceful means and in conformity with the principles of justice and international law, adjustment or settlement of international disputes or situations which might lead to a breach of the peace. And the next is to achieve international cooperation in solving international problems of an economic, social, culture, or humanitarian character, and in promoting and encouraging respect for human rights and for fundamental freedoms for all rights and for fundamental freedoms for all without distinction as to race, sex, language, or religion, and to be a certain center for harmonizing the actions of nations in the attainment of these common ends. And these ends in this picture, the General Assembly, International Court of World Justice, and the Security Council, Trust, Trusteeship Council, Se- Secretariat, and Economic and Social Council. Economic and Social Council has the Commission on Human Rights, International Labour Organization, United Nations Children's Fund, and United Nations Development Fund for Women, or United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, and the World Health Organization. These are the economic and social councils, and the relationship, the General Assembly, and the structure of the United Nations. Structure of United Nations. The United Nations is organizingly structured into into six primary organs. Let's take a quick look at each. First of all, the General Assembly is the deliberative and policy making body of the United Nations. Each member state has a seat in the General Assembly. Each member of the Assembly is entitled to one vote. It does not matter if you are the most powerful state on the planet or the weakest. And this is the structure of the General Assembly and the United Nations character empower the General Assembly to perform a broad range of activities, including and considering the approving the United Nations budget and setting membership, financial assessment, electing non-permanent members of the Security Council, members of other UN councils, as well as appointing the Secretary General with the recommendation of the Security Councils. The deliberating and making recommendations on general principles of international cooperation for the maintenance of peace and security. And the United Nations coordinates its work with the fund programs, specialized agencies, and other organizations of the UN system. And the United Nations itself is one part of the UN system. Cooperation between the UN and the other entities of the UN system is essential in order to achieve the purpose of the organization laid out in the UN Charter. And the next is this picture. We see the Federal Assembly, Member Council, and Board. Board are these Federal and Member Council and Secretary General Working Group, the membership, political counters, and email secretariat staff. And members are International Association, Nation Council, and the supporting member also. And this is the board of the council. And the next is the counting conferring on any question relating to international peace and security and making recommendations unless the Security Council is discussing the issue. Conferring on any issue that is within the scope of the United Nations character and making recommendations regarding the issues unless the Security Council is. Since its character was written, the United Nations has been mandated to do new work which was not ever envisioned at the time of its creation. The organization has set goals to build a more sustainable world, and it has agreed to collective action to slow down climate change. As the problems facing humanity have grown, the work of the United Nations has also grown. And this is the United Nations work and conducting studies and making recommendations related to issues of international law, human rights, and international cooperation relating to economic, social, humanitarian, cultural, educational, and health fields, providing recommendations for peaceful settlement of issues that may mar friendly relations between states, deliberating on reports submitted by other United Nations organs. And this is the Sec- Security Councils. This picture shows, and the Security Council is take the lead in determining the existence of a threat to the peace or act of aggression. It calls upon the parties to a dispute to settle it by peaceful means and recommends methods of adjustment or terms of settlement. In some cases, the Security Council can resort to imposing sanctions or even authorize the use of force to maintain or restore international peace and security. And the picture of this United Nation is the picture of, and the all existing committees and group working group of are comprised of the 15 members of the councils, while standing committees are chaired by the president of the council, rotating on a monthly basis. Other committees and working groups are chaired or co-chaired by designated members of the council who are announced on the annual basis by a note of the president of the Security Council. And the UNS, the United Nations Security Council. These are the flag of the United Nations Security Councils. And we see the UN's work plan, and the at UN headquarters in New York, the General Assembly, Security Council, and Economic and Social Council pass resolution which set what could informally be called the UN's work plan. The UN Secretariat carries out this work along with UN system and trade entities. UN Secretariat and the UN Secretariat, the UN Secretariat based in based in the New York City has office in Geneva Vienna, and Nairobi, also part of the UN Secretariat, are the regional economic commissions in Addis Ababa, Bangkok, and Geneva. UN system, all of the fund program, specialized agencies and other entitled of the UN system have their own budget, mandate, leadership, and headquarters. They have regional and local offices in all the main geographic areas of the world, as does the UN, the role of the United Nations. And the United Nations, the next is the peace and security. Peace and Security Council has primary responsibility for the maintenance of international peace and security. It has 15 members and each member has one vote. Under the character of the United Nations, all member states are obligated to comply with Council decisions. And this Council, the Economic and Social Council, are focused on economic, social, and environmental issues. It engages in coordination and policy review as well as making recommendation on these issues. It also plays a role in the implementation of internationally agreed upon development goals. And these economic and social council as the most representative intergovernment organization of the world today. The United Nations role in world affairs is irreplaceable by any other international and regional organizations. The United Nations has made enormous positive contributions in maintaining international peace and security, promoting cooperation among state and international development. Today, people of the world still face the two major issues of peace and development. Only by international cooperation can make mankind meet the challenges of the global and regional issues. The United Nations can play a pivotal and positive role in the in this regard, strengthening the role of the United Nations as the economic of social council and focus of economic and social environmental issues. And the nation in the new century, the promoting the establishment of a just and reasonable international political and economic order goes along with the trend of history and is in the interest of all nations. And the next is The International Court of Justice is the judicial organ of the United Nations. The court settles disputes between members. It also provides advisory opinions to the UN and its agencies. And in order to in order to strengthen the role of the United Nations, efforts should be made to uphold the purpose and principles of the character of the United Nations. The authority of the Security Council in maintaining international peace and security must be preserved, and role of the United Nations in development area should be strengthened. To strengthen the role of the United Nations, it is essential to ensure to all member states of the United Nations the rights to the right to the equal participation in international affairs, and the rights and interest of the developing countries should be safeguarded. And this is the International Court of Justice is. And next, the Trustee Council. Trustee Council was originally formed to supervise 11 territories and to take the steps necessary for these territories to achieve self governance. All these territories have either gained independence or self governance. Consequently, the Trustee Council is pretty much inactive and only meets on an as needed basis. These the Trustee Council, the Mikhail Le Soviet General Secretary addressing the UN General Assembly in December 1988. The General Assembly is the main deliberative assembly of the UN, composed of all UN member states. The assembly meet in regular yearly session, but emergency sessions can also be called. The assembly is led by a president elected from among the member states on a rotating regional basis, and 21 vice presidents. The first session conversed 10 January 1946 in Methodist Central Hall in London, and included representative of 51 nations. And the other is the picture of con, current structure of the United Nations. Security Council has the Secretariat and Economic and Social Council. And the General Assembly, this is the International Court of Justice. And this is the current structure of the United Nations. And this, when the General Assembly decided on important questions such as those on peace and security, admission of new members, and budgetary matters. A two-third majority of those present and voting is required. All other questions are decided by a majority vote. Each member country has one vote. Apart from the approval of budgetary matters, resolutions are not binding on the members. The Assembly may make recommendations on any matters within the scope of the UN, except matters of peace and security that are under consideration by the Security Councils. These are the current structure of the United Nations. And the next is the World Health Organization, established established in 1948, headquarters Geneva, and purpose attainment of highest possible level of health by all people. And this is the WHO. And the next is the Organization. World Trade Organization, WTO, established in 1995, and headquarters is Geneva, and purpose setting rules for world trade to reduce traffic. And the next is the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, established in 1997, headquarter Kenya, Vienna, it is the Kenya, and purpose to prevent illicit trafficking and abuse of drug, crime prevention. These are the United Nations offices. And the next picture is UNESCO organizational chart, director and the advisor. Sector is advisor to space, science and education. And the office of the director, the committee policy and legal affairs section, space applications section, expective structure, IOG, UN space, and this is the organizational chart. And the next is the in inefficient global and food production is at the root of huge rise in hunger as well as one third of all emission and 80% of biodiversity loss. UN Secretary General Antonio Gut- Guterres has warned in a call to all countries to transform food systems to speed up sustainable development. And the Security Council is charged with maintaining peace and security among countries, while other organs of the UN can only make recommendations to member states. The Security Council has the power to make binding decisions. The member states have agreed to carry out under the terms of character. Article 25. The decision of the Council are known as United Nations and Security Council resolutions. The Security Council is made up of 15 member states, consisting of 5 permanent members: China, France, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States, and 10 non permanent members elected for 2-year terms by the General Assembly with end of term date. And the Republic, Estonia, Germany, Indonesia, Republic 2020, Estonia 2021, Germany 2020, Indonesia 2020, Niger 2021, Saint Vincent and the Grenadines 2021, South Africa 2020, Tanzania, Tunisia 2021, and Vietnam 2021. The 5 permanent members hold veto power over UN resolutions, allowing a permanent member to block adoption of a resolution through not debate. The 10 temporary seats are held for 2-year terms, with 5 member states per year voted in by the Council. And these are the member of the United Nations. And the next is the more women and children were killed and wounded in Afghanistan in the first half of 2021 than in the first 6 months of any year since records began in 2009. A United Nations report reveal- revealed on Monday, revealed on Monday, and the General Assembly on a regional basis, the presidency of the Security Council rotates alphabetically each month. UN Secretariat. And next it took the role of peacekeeper. Peacekeeper and of the world and assumed necessary power to avoid conflict resulting in the world war through its various agencies or organizations each established because of a particular role. And this role in the Secretary General is appointed by the General Assembly after being recommended by the Security Council, where the permanent members have veto power. There are no specific criteria for the post, but over the years it has become expected that the post shall be held for 1 or 2 terms of 5 years. In the current the UN Currently the UN has 193 countries as its members, and it is headquartered in New York, USA. The UN not only focuses on peace but also aims at promoting sustainable development, upholding international laws, and protecting human rights. This is the UN countries, the International Code of the Economic and Social Council. The Economic and Social Council assist the General Assembly in promoting international economic and social cooperation and development. ECOSOC has 54 members who are elected by the General Assembly for 3 year terms. The President is elected for a 1 year term and chosen or amongst the small or middle powers represented on ESCOs. The Council has one annual meeting in July, held in either New York or Geneva, viewed as separate from the specialized bodies. It coordinates ESCOs. Functions include information gathering, advising member nations, and making recommendations owing owing to its broad mandate of coordinating many agencies. SCO has at times been criticized as unfocused on irrelevant, and the organization has received this status also. And the ECOSOCs are subsidiary bodies, include the United Nations Permanent Forum on Indigenous Issues, and these issues are also the 100 specialized agencies. The UN character stipulates that each primary organ of the United Nations can establish various specialized agencies to fulfill its duties. The specialized agencies are autonomous organizations working with the United Nations and each other through the coordinating machinery of the Economic and Social Council. Each was integrated into the UN system by the the way of the an integrated and agreement and make 17th specialized agencies. This is the all about the topic. At the end of the topic, we see some references is there. These are the references of this topic, and the end of this topic, some multiple choice question is there, and peace and security, climate change, sustainable development, human rights, disaster management, tourism, humanitarian and health emergencies, gender equality, governance, food production, etc. These are the United Nations. And the question is there. The question is, which of the following organizations led the foundation towards the formation of the International Society Nations? League of Nations, United Nations, International UN Federation, International Institution. The answer of this question is League, League of Nations. And the next is, which organization is termed as a child of war? UN, League of Nations, SARC, WHO. The right answer of this question is League of Nations. League of Nations is the right answer. And the next is, when was the ILO established? 1942, 1927, 1919, 1930. The right answer of this question is 1990. And the next question is, who had given the 14-point program for the formation of League of Nations? Williamson, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Sam Kutesha, Woodrow Wilson. Right answer is Woodrow Wilson is the right answer of this question. And the next question is, when was the United Nations adopted the Charter of Economic Right? December 1980, December 1964, December 1974, December 1976. The right answer is December 1980. December 1980 is the right answer of this question. Next question, what are the parameters to become a member of the UN? First is, it must be a state, it must be peace loving, it must accept the obligations to the character, it must be willing to carry out these obligations, It must be able to carry out these obligations and all of the above. The right answer of this question is all of the above. And the next question is the General Assembly of the United Nations have designated 1992 as International Child Year, International Space Year, International Year of the Family, International Year of Literacy. The right answer of this question is International Space Year. And the next is which conference adopted the United Nations character on 26th January 1945? London Conference, Tokyo Conference, San Francisco Conference, none of the above. The right answer of this question is San Francisco Conference is the right answer. And the next question, under whom recommendations the UN General Assembly suspends the UN membership? Judicial body, International Judicial Committee, Security Councils, all of the above. The right answer of this question is Security Councils. And the last question, next question is the topic, which of the following place is the headquarter of IMF, International Monetary Fund? Geneva, Paris, Washington, Hague. The right answer of this question is Washington. Washington is the right answer. This is the all about the topic role of UNO and its agencies in international relationship. At the end of this topic, thank you